Hey, what's going on YouTube world? Sebastian here with Spin Driving School, and today we are doing a video on a full entire road test from beginning till the end. We are doing the class 7, so no highway. Before we get into the video, a couple of things to address. First and foremost, this video is for people who are ready for the road test. So if you're not ready, this video may not be for you. If you're just learning how to drive, maybe watch my other videos rather. So, make sure that you are test ready, make sure that you are well versed, skilled, well experienced, and well exposed to various situations within traffic. So practice, experience, and skills can't be beat. Most important things. Nerves, that's pretty normal. So if you're nervous, you're in the right place. I'm not going to help you with this video, unfortunately, but it's just the way it is. Unfortunately, there's really not much we can do about nerves. It is required that you have 60 to 70 hours of practice before you consider going for your road test. So I'm assuming that most people are there, that's basically about a year of driving, an hour a week or so. I don't know what the math is exactly, but let's say that's somewhere around the ballpark. So you should be in a position where you are ready for the road test at the end of the day. I would strongly encourage and recommend to be testing in the city that you live in and, driving and testing in the area that you are familiar with. If you know where the road test happens, as far as the neighborhoods, obviously go and practice there. But at the end of the day, going to a different city to get your road test, in some cases it definitely works out, but it's a challenge. So I would stick to the city that you live in. However, I do understand why people, search out other venues, because it is a pain in the butt to get a spot, especially these days. Things are just crazy busy, so I get it. Anyways, so let's just get right into it. Actually, before we get into that, a couple of things, a quick little checklist. So as far as your vehicle is concerned, make sure that your vehicle is in a tip-top shape. If you are borrowing someone's vehicle, if you're renting, whatever, make sure that it's good to drive, that there are no issues with it, that there are no lights on the dash that are not supposed to be there. If you drive an electric car, Tesla or anything along those lines, obviously you should know the vehicle that you drive, and you should know what lights do belong on the dash, which ones don't. But you do want to avoid, like air pressure, airbag, check engine oil, etc. Seatbelt. Make sure that everything is functional. Make sure that you have at least half a tank of gas or so that your car is not going to run out of gas halfway through your road test. Batteries charged, things like that. So again, make sure the car is safe to operate, no tire issues, and the car is in good shape. I had an incident once where I ended up getting a flat tire basically in the Icbc parking lot before the road test, and my car was refused for a road test. Luckily, back in those days, you can still do standbys. So I got my tire fixed and we did a standby, and my student was successful, but it was a bit of a stressful situation. So I know that people have been rejected for having their things wrong with vehicles. Some examiners will let you go, some examiners won't. But at the end of the day, they do refuse to, the right to not take you for the road test if the vehicle is deemed unsafe to operate. So make sure that the car is in a tip-top shape and that all the gauges and all the little ins and outs of the car, which we'll get into that in a second, but make sure that you know how to operate the vehicle. And I'm talking about things like signals and windshield wipers, etc., etc. So we'll get to that in a second. One more thing, make sure there are no cracks in your windshield. So if it's a small one, I do have a little dot on my bottom right side. It's pretty tiny, but if you have a pretty significant crack in your windshield, you may be refused. So get that looked at. You can always call Icbc and find out ahead of time as well, but good luck getting through. Anyways, we'll just get right into the video. There's going to be a couple images coming up too, so just bear with me, folks. Okay, so here we go. That's just the overhead of the dash, so you can't really see it, but the only light I have on right now is just my emergency brake light. There's my e-brake and my cars in park. We are going to start with your low beam, or those are not your daytime lights, by the way. Headlights, high beam, left signal, right turn signal. We're gonna honk the horn, windshield wipers, and we'll do another view of this as well. And your hazard lights or your emergency lights. And then you have your hand signals, left, right, and stop or slow down. We'll go to a side view for this as well. And you have your left, right, and stop or slow down. So you're gonna get in the car. This is just a different view. Start the car, roll your window down if your window is not down already. Make sure that you strap yourself in. There's my emergency brake light, so that's the only light that should be on, at least in my car. There's a different view. As you see, I have no lights on my dash, no check engine lights, etc., etc. Went over that in the beginning. Low beam, high beam, low beam, high beam. So you twist the lights and then you push it in towards you or away from you. Look for that blue light in the center of the console. Again, low beam, then there's a high beam, and I'm just going to flash the high beam here. Windshield wipers, left signal, right signal, windshield wipers, just one more time. Hazard lights or your emergency lights. So that's basically both of your turn signals, or all four going at the same time. And then we have your defoggers for the front and back window and the front windshield. So the back one is usually just a button, and the front one is usually controlled by the air. So, you know, depending on the car, figure that out. Go talk to your dad, or, you know, whoever's car you're using for the road test. And then we're gonna honk the horn, and then the examiner gets in the car, and, you know, they'll talk to you about various things, and then you are good to go. Also, you can ask some questions, you know, regarding school zones and things like that if you don't know if they're in effect or not. Sometimes they tell you right off the bat. So here we go. We're going to be making the left turn here out of the parking lot. Make sure that you stop at this stop sign, or any stop sign with any parking lots. Obviously, it doesn't matter if it's Icbc or not. And make sure that you are treating a sidewalk as a stop sign. So even if that stop sign's not there, you should be stopping regardless at these sidewalks. So again, we're taking the left turn. Now I'm going to spend a few seconds here. There's a car on my left-hand side, which you'll see turning in the top camera there. They're just basically sitting there and not really sure of what to do. Maybe they were waiting for me to leave, but anyway, so I just waited, making a left turn, again, shoulder check, and off we go. And I am going to the Moscrop area. So it's not a specific route. I don't teach my students how to go in specific routes because that's just silly. If you know how to drive, you know how to drive. We're taking the left at the stop sign. Again, if that stop sign's not there, we're treating the sidewalk as a stop, but obviously in that case, there's a stop sign. So left signal, left shoulder check, and off we go. There are specific routes, obviously, but you don't know which one you're going to take. So if you follow these steps, they work for any situation you're in, any city, it doesn't really matter. We are taking a right turn at these lights here. Now you are always going to be completely stopping at a red light if you're making the right turn. If you don't, that's an automatic fail, and you can get a ticket for that because that's no different than running a red light. So make sure that you stop fully. Of course, shoulder check, and we are cruising. Turning to the lane that's closest to you or to the curb, except for if there's a bus lane. Again, we're doing a class 7 road test. About to approach train tracks, so we are scanning right, left, left, right, you know, as long as you scan both ways. And now in this case, you have to apply a lane change because that lane on the right obviously is ending or merging. So shoulder check, obviously signal first. Stopping, full stop. Make sure that you're scanning all intersections, especially if you're the first car in line, but you should always be scanning intersections regardless, and checking your mirrors after, you know, I do it after every turn personally, but as long as you check your rear view mirrors from time to time. Green light, again, scanning both ways. We're going straight through the intersection. If the examiner does not give you any directions, you are always going to be going straight. If they say nothing, you're going straight. You're not going around buses. You're not going around cars in the intersection. You're staying in this straight going lane and you're going straight. Are they going to be talking to you? Maybe, maybe not. That's not their job. We're still continuing going straight. It is a green light. Again, we're scanning the intersection both ways. Now we're going to be taking a right turn at these lights here. So lane change first, obviously, then you shoulder check and off to the right lane. And then we're taking a right turn at the lights. So if you're told that you're making the right turn or left turn at the lights and you are in the opposing lane, obviously that means you have to make a lane change first and then move over. Full stop, shoulder check into the lane that is closest to you. Now at the next lights, I'll be making a left turn. So I'm going to apply a lane change at some point. Shoulder check. And again, we are just cruising, keeping that 50-kilometer speed limit. Between 45 and 50, you'll be fine. Unless you are in a school zone, park zone, construction zone, residential streets, or any other street where the speed limit is posted, follow that speed limit. Other than that, 45 to 50 is totally fine. Left turn at these lights. It is a green light, couple of vehicles turning up ahead, clear intersection, shoulder check, and heading right through. Now we are going to be pulling over here in just a second. So signal, shoulder check, and you're going to pull over when it's safe. Here we go. Now if you are on the hill, obviously we need to move our wheels in the proper direction. In this case, this is technically uphill, so we're going to turn our wheels to the left, park, brake. And then release your brake. Obviously, you can straighten out your wheels if you want. That's what I like to do. Signal, you know, check your mirrors, shoulder check. And off we go. We're cruising. Again, staying around 50, just under 50, no problem. This is a main road. This is not a residential road. As long as you have yellow lines in the middle, especially single line, double yellow lines, you have to be careful. Sometimes there are schools and park zones. Coming up on this red light, full stop. Nice and smooth stops, nice and smooth acceleration. You don't want to be abrupt. Scanning the intersection, proceeding on the green light as long as the intersection is clear. And we are taking a left turn coming up here on First Street. Now, sometimes examiners will give you, and obviously school zone up on the right hand side. Sometimes examiners will give you street names. Sometimes they'll say turn left or right at the next intersection or at the next lights, or it just, really depends. So here comes a left turn. So this would be a 30 zone, obviously. Now, if you're going to miss shoulder checks, left turns are definitely going to be the ones that you can get away with. Don't miss any shoulder checks on the right hand side, or try not to. Minimize your mistakes. We're approaching on a right turn here. Shoulder check. My signal's already on. I always put my signals nice and early. Nice smooth turn. And then we're about to make this right turn coming up here. Signal, shoulder check, and off we go into the turn. Good control, nice and steady, going into this traffic, or roundabout rather. Cul De Sac, what am I saying? Right signal, right shoulder check, left signal, left shoulder check. And left turn, full stop. Shoulder check, and we're cruising. Again, I'm going to be checking my mirrors after every turn, or at least every other turn for sure. Use your mirrors as much as you possibly can, but keep your eyes on the road. Right signal, right shoulder check. Got some speed bumps. I'm just going to slow down for those. Depending on the car, you know, you can go 30 to 40 in these residential streets, and over these speed bumps if you want to slow down. Left signal, left shoulder check. If you want to slow down for those speed bumps, that's fine, but you don't have to stop for them. We're pulling over, so again, always shoulder check. If you're turning your wheels and your signal is on, shoulder check. Full stop, park, brake. Flat surface, no reason to secure your wheels. And we are moving. Left signal, left shoulder check. Off we go. Next street is going to be a left turn. Shoulder check. I shoulder check on my turns nice and early. And we are moving on to a parallel park. I'm actually going to do a couple parallel parks in this video. Not for any specific reasons. I mean, usually on your test, you're only going to be parallel parking once, but I've had students who have to parallel park twice for various reasons. I'm not going to get into them right now, but you know, sometimes that happens. So 360 check. Make sure you always do your 360 checks when you're reversing for whatever reason. Again, I'm not going to talk about too much about parking in this video. You can check out my other parking videos. And I'm making an adjustment here. If you notice, I actually did nudge the curb gently, so I'm just going to make it a little adjustment. Not a problem. As long as you do your 360 every time you change gears, that's fine. Park and brake at the end, and we are golden. Okay, leaving, left signal. I'm going to back up a little bit. So 360 check again. Left signal, left shoulder check. And off to the next target. I'm actually going to do another parallel park here, and then we're going to back up in a straight line, which is something that you'll definitely be doing on your road test more than likely. So again, 360 check when you're reversing, parallel park. Quick little adjustment. Okay, now I'm going to back up in a straight line. So reverse, 360. Make sure that your brake is disengaged, and I'm talking about your emergency brake. And then I'm doing this with one hand, looking behind me over my right shoulder, and I'm checking my mirrors, my right mirror specifically, and I'm also looking forward to, you know, to help me navigate and to keep the car as straight as I possibly can. Backing up a little bit. That's good. Now we're going to enter back into traffic. So drive, left signal, left shoulder check. Or check your mirrors first. And we are on our way. If you see, this school zone will be coming up here. So it does start at this point. Now, obviously, you shouldn't be driving more than 30 in this situation anyways, because you're coming up to a stop sign. So full stop and a right turn. And then we're going to be taking a right turn coming up here as well. So right signal, right shoulder check, good control, good speed. Anywhere 20 to 30 for those turns is fine, not a problem. We're going straight through. Again, 30 to 40 in these residential streets. Now there's going to be a vehicle coming up ahead. So in this case, if they don't move over, which I was kind of anticipating that they would, but it didn't happen. So I'm going to move over for them. And left signal, left shoulder check, back we go. So if someone doesn't move for you, just move over for them. Obviously, that's the only way it's going to go. You can't have two vehicles driving towards each other. You're going to fail your road test. Right signal, right shoulder check, good control. You can let the wheel slip through your hands. You know, as long as you're controlling the vehicle cleanly and smoothly, you're going to be fine. Just don't drive with one hand and don't cross your hands too much when you're turning. And I'm not talking about head over hand or hand over hand turning. We're doing a left turn here, inching forward after a full stop, left shoulder check. A couple of speed bumps. I'm just going to slow down a little bit, just pump my brakes. You know, if you know your car really well and you know how your car is going to behave in these situations, then obviously that's going to just make it a lot easier on your test. Some of these things can be a little bumpy depending on the car you drive. Taking a right turn here, full stop, right signal, right shoulder check. Your signal should be on actually a lot earlier. Check your rear view mirrors. And then we'll be making a right turn coming up at the next stop as well. I hope you guys are still with me. Here we go, full stop. Shoulder check, and we are gone. And then I'm making a quick left turn here at these lights. And you should be shoulder checking into these left and right turning lanes as well. Left shoulder check, intersection is clear. We're entering a 30-kilometer zone. So we're going 30. And then I'll be pulling over here on the right-hand side. Signal, shoulder check. Full stop, park, brake, secure your wheels in the proper direction. In this case, to the left, we are uphill. Back into the road. Release the brake. Obviously, check your mirrors, signal, shoulder check. Exit back into the road when it's safe. Make sure that you know where your wheels are. Or remember where your wheels are. We're making the left turn here. Also remember, we are still in the park zone. So left signal, left shoulder check. We are entering into a park zone, so we are continuing with that 30. And you see there are no lines here. So if you're going to always depend on those double yellow lines for schools and park zones, it doesn't always work. Check for the signs. So we're just cruising nice and steady. There's the end of your 30-kilometer zone. I'm just going to remain around the 35, maybe a 40 mark. I'm in no rush. Again, in these residential streets, you can just cruise around 30 to 40, no problem. Taking a right turn at this stop. Full stop, shoulder check. Signal was already on nice and early. About a half a block ahead of every turn I put on my signal. Making the next right. At the stop, rather. My apologies. Full stop. Signal already on. Shoulder check and good control, good speed, 20 to 30K, nice and smooth, good weight transfer. Don't give the examiner a heart attack. And I'm going to be doing my final parallel park here, and then a 3-point turn, which, you know, a lot of these maneuvers may or may not be on your road test, depending on the location and where you're doing your test and the examiner and the route you take. But I just want to go through everything. That way you guys are ready and prepped. Again, 360 check for those reverse maneuvers. Parallel park. Now we are uphill, so I'm just going to leave my wheels the way they are. As in this case, you need to turn your wheels to the left, so they're already pre-turned in this situation. 360, I'm going to back up in a straight line a little bit before I do my 3-point turn. Drive, left signal, check for traffic from both directions, left shoulder check. Reverse, signal to the right. Again, make sure that you do a 360. Back up, drive, left signal, left shoulder check, and off we go. So there's your 3-point turn. I have videos on all these maneuvers. I'll probably link them in the description. Now I'm stopping here because I'm not sure if this vehicle is trying to pull over at some point. I think they're probably going to do parallel park. So there they go. They're stopping right there. Just going to pull up a little bit, stop again. Just going to let them park. If that happens on your test, just wait. Don't try to squeeze into these spaces if you don't think you have enough room. You're not going to get your head cut off if you wait. But matter of fact, that's what you're supposed to do. So it's not a race. Take your time. Now the car is pretty much fully parked. I'm going to proceed. And then we're doing a left turn coming up here at the 4-way. Shoulder check, and we're cruising. Good control, good speed, nice and center. Next turn is going to be a left turn. Shoulder check. Again, nice and center, good control, good speed, good movement of your arms and your steering wheel. Smoothness is the key. Doing about 35 here. And it's going to be a right turn at the next stop sign. Remember, full stops. 2 ways, 4 ways, 3 ways, doesn't matter. Give this guy a little bit of room. Scan both ways, shoulder check. I'm not even going to say signal because my signal's already on nice and early, so don't miss your signals. Again, I've already said this, minimize your mistakes. Here's your 30-kilometer zone. This one coincides with the double yellow line. Now this vehicle here, they're actually going about 20. So I was maybe going 22, 23 at one point. You're not going to fail your road test if you are stuck behind another car and you're going slower. But if someone is going 55 or 60 in front of you and then you're following that car, that's a different story. So going under, not a problem as long as you're following another car. They're going to go through this yellow. I'm going to stop. That definitely was a close call, especially going that slow. They probably could have stopped. But anyways, it's not about them. Full stop, red light. We are making a left turn here and we are exiting this park zone after this left turn. Green light, shoulder check. And off we go. We'll be making a right turn at the next I shouldn't say intersection because this is actually an intersection coming up here at the next lights. An intersection is, you know, any road where roads intersect essentially. Don't think of an intersection only as one that has traffic lights. So we're making a right turn at these lights here. As long as it stays green, shoulder check nice and early, signal, and we're not stopping. Good speed, good control, nice and center. We're entering a school zone. So this is the same school zone we went through in the beginning. Now this one doesn't have summer school in session, and I'm doing this on a Sunday as well. So I don't have to go 30 here, and I didn't. But if you're doing your tests in the summertime, make sure that you pay attention for those summer schools. And again, I have videos on this, so I'll link them all below. We're pulling over here, so right signal, right shoulder check, and make sure that you come to a nice, clean, smooth stop. Once you've stopped completely, park, brake, and if you're on the slope, secure your wheels to the left in this case. And we're gonna do 5 hazards, which is a question that more than likely is going to be on your test. So for your number 1 hazard out of 5 is going to be weather. Now it's a sunny day, but if you have sensitive eyes, that's going to be a problem. 2, people. 3, cars. 4, cyclists. And then the 5th one will be based on the environment. So in this case, it's a hill. You have a double yellow line. We're also in the school zone. You have cars driving by. Some of them may or may not be driving the speed limit, low visibility, things like that. So 4 hazards, always going to be people, cars, cyclists, and the weather. And then the 5th one, you can base it on the environment, construction zones, park zones, etc., etc., hills. Pulling back into traffic, left signal, left shoulder check. Still in the school zone for that little bit. So just make sure that you're not entering too fast, too quickly. And then back to your 45 to 50 zone and continually going straight through. Scanning all intersections. Doesn't matter if you're stopping or not. Just get in the habit of, your head on the swivel, or at least moving your eyes. Checking your mirrors frequently. Almost there, folks. Making a right turn at these lights here. Now I'm going to signal a little bit late in this case because I don't want to let these make these guys think that I'm turning into the gas station. So again, red light, full stop, shoulder check, green, no one's crossing, turning to the lane that's closest to the curb. And at the following intersection, or at the lights rather, again, I am going to be making the left turn. So I'm already making the lane change. And listen for the directions from your instructors. Again, and if they're not talking to you, don't take it the wrong way. That's not their job. Some of them can be quite loquacious. Some of them will be mute. So that's not their job. You're going to be nervous, but it's just the way it is. Left turn at these lights. So we're going into this left turning lane, shoulder check, signal nice and early, and stopping at this red light. So you do want to be shoulder checking going into these left and right turning lanes on your road test as well. Again, depending on the city and where you are and which route you take, bear that in mind. Left shoulder check, which is not necessary in this case, but I'm still going to throw it out there. Turning to the lane that's closest to the center, or to your center, or closest to the curb. And again, we're cruising. Just heading back to Icbc. So far, we're doing great. Red light, full stop. Yeah, you can scratch a nose. For sure. You can scratch an itch. Not a problem. Scanning both ways, green light, intersections clear, proceeding. Now, sometimes this road here is, or at least it was, a construction zone. So, obviously if you're going through a construction zone, make sure that you drive accordingly. If the speed limits are not posted in construction zones, it's just going to be automatically 30. That's just a bike shared lane. And then we're just staying in this lane, continually going straight through. Red light, full stop. Now this following lane, which is basically the same lane that I'm already in, it continues as a bike or as a shared lane. So a lot of people panic when they see that bike logo on the bottom there. And they just make a lane change in the middle of the intersection. I've seen it happen. So that's just a shared lane. You just have to share this lane with cyclists, but that's not a specific bike lane. Going over the train tracks, again, on your way back, scanning both ways, left, right, or right, left, doesn't matter. And then we'll be planning a lane change after the train tracks. There's my shoulder check. I'm already signaling nice and early. And then left at these lights here, signal, shoulder check. Green light, I'm entering into the intersection. I'm going to yield to the cyclist and this vehicle, shoulder check. And we are almost there, folks. One more turn, and then if we can successfully park, I think we are going to pass our road test. So now we'll be making a right turn into the parking lot. It's still a right turn. You're still going to shoulder check, signal, shoulder check. Make sure you take this turn nice and slow. It's a bit of a lip on this turn, so you don't want to pop a tire or something. And into the parking lot, and you are either going to be asked to park, reverse park in a specific spot. Sometimes they ask you, what's your favorite number? I mean, there's a lot of ways this happens. In this case, this vehicle was just kind of waiting there. So if that happens on your road test, just wait. Now, if the examiner asks you to go around, or you can actually be parking in a different section of the parking lot, that can happen. Sometimes this parking lot is, pardon my language, but it's a complete shit show. So you may be asked to park in a different area. I actually had a student once who was parking in one of those diagonal spots, which was first experience for me. So, but more than likely, 99% of the times you're going to be parking in this road test parking lot that is right up ahead. So I forget which number I'm going into. I think I was going into number 9 here. But again, it just depends on the examiner. Yes, some of them can be nicer than others. Some of them may feel like they're out to get you, but as long as you drive well, it's all about the drive. If you can, if you can get personal with them and then talk and drive at the same time and make it smooth and safe, that's great. But remember, their job is not to be friendly or to talk to you. If they are, you want to be friendly. You should be friendly. You don't want to be combative at all. Don't be don't be a douchebag. Don't be a dick. Definitely be nice and be open-hearted and open-minded. So again, we're just waiting. I've been in these situations before where you literally sometimes wait for 5 minutes. It does take some people quite a long time to park. So, and that's another thing. Take your time with parking. Again, it's not a race. You do have 2 minutes to park. So, and you should be able to park in 2 minutes or even definitely under. 2 minutes is a lot of time. So we're just moving over a little bit to the right. Quick shoulder check, signal. Yeah, I think I'm going into number 7 or something. I don't remember. Going all the way to the left signal, left shoulder check, full stop, reverse, 360 both ways, as it is for any reverse maneuver on your road test. Backing into the spot, looking behind you over your right shoulder, using your mirrors if you're parking between 2 cars. Know where you're going. Practice this maneuver a lot. Park, brake, and we are finished. Now you can have a sip of water, because you're going to be pasty and nervous and your mouth's going to be dry and dehydrated and all those things. It's, even though it's only 30 minutes, but let me tell you, it's an experience. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and I've had, anyways, I'm not going to get into it, but it's either an exhilarating experience at the end, or obviously it could be crushing. So it could go either way, but at the end of the day, there's always another time. So, hopefully this helps. Everyone's going to have a different experience on the test, different routes, etc., etc. So again, this is not a specific route, but if you do drive the way I drove in this video, Even hitting the curb on those two parallel parks, that's not going to fail you as long as you're able to fix it and correct it. If you panic and drive over the curb, well, obviously that's going to more than likely fail you on your road test. You can make quite a few mistakes on your road test as long as they're not big, so driving over the curb is not one of them. If you miss a few shoulder checks, especially on those left turns, speed maintenance, things like that, as long as it's not in schools and park zones, there's a little bit of room for error, right? You can make around 20 errors on your road test, so it seems like a lot, but they will add up. But anything big, anything that's a dangerous action, it's game over. So if you drive the way I drove in this video, you will pretty much get 100%. So stay safe, keep practicing, keep driving, and maybe I'll see you around.